Actually works out pretty well though, because we're on the right side.
Nice. We switch sides. I don't like switching sides, mate.
No.
I have a structure. Don't like it being.
What side of the bed do you sleep on? Do you have like you?
I sleep on the right hand side. The right side. So my head is there and her head is there.
Right, okay. I've gone to the right side now because I wasn't too keen on the mattress. It seemed like there was a sort of mattresses.
But we haven't got a locker. We haven't got a door on our bedroom now. We live on the 3rd floor. So like my youngest usually comes and gets in bed at one point as well.
Was that since your shining incident?
Shining incident? Which one's the shining?
Here's
incident?
Johnny just like kicking the door. Yeah. Anyway, this is Agony Uncles.
Red Ram.
Yeah, I'm Scotty. That's Motty. Very colour coordinated tonight, aren't we?
We got the memo, didn't we, brother?
Yeah, 1968 tops. Producer Alexei is back off his. Where was he last week?
He's just had stuff to do. He's a very mysterious guy, Alexei.
Yeah.
People come to the office, they drop money off, he goes out, he comes back covered in blood. I don't ask questions.
He just leaves business cards on his Stone Island and
He's got his little thing going on, do you know what I mean? We'll leave him to it.
Yeah, just anyway.
I do run the streets. It's just what I do. Those streets, I run them.
He runs the streets.
And he's running the show tonight because neither me or Jay know what the Battle of Scotty and Motty is about. So.
What's your favourite battle?
As in what, like war?
Well, just any battle.
I like Ken Barlow versus like Mike Baldwin.
That's a good one. That's really good.
That was a good battle.
That was one for decades, wasn't it? That one for like the 60s. Was it 60s, 70s to the 90s?
Yeah, it was a long one. That.
Yeah, it's a good one.
Goes back like United.
That's a really good one.
How about you?
I like that. That's what's that? Wookie, that garage song battle. I like that one. Every day is like a battle, but we'll overcome. I like that one. Yeah, that's probably my favourite.
Yeah, how about you? You're a man of battles.
Probably the battle between me and the Millwall Ultras that happens on a regular basis, where I,
go down to South Bermondsey and start snapping jaws.
Yeah, cave their heads in, put them on the shard and that.
Yeah.
Other than that, though, probably the Battle of Hastings. I feel like that's the most kind of, you know what you get with the Battle of Hastings. You know it's in Hastings. You know it's a battle. End of. There's none of this. Oh, it's the Battle of. You know it's in Hastings. It was a battle. It was big. Get over it.
Who were they fighting? Like, was it Hastings versus Scotland?
Nah, it was the Saxons versus the Normans.
It was Hastings brackets A, and they all had badges on. The Battle of Hastings.
It was the Normans versus the Anglo-Saxons.
Who were the Normans?
The Normans were the French, and the Saxons were like the remnants of the Vikings.
I always think Norman's a bit of a shit name, innit?
Norman.
You always feel like, excuse any Normans that are out there. I always think it's a bit of a geeky name.
Oh yeah, I got in trouble with that.
What? Because you called
Norman. Was it Norman? Oh no, it was Ronnie. I got in trouble with. Not Norman's all right. Not me. Mrs.'s granddad's called Norman. It was Ronnie I got in trouble for. Because when we were suggesting baby names, I was at a family do, my missus and her family.
Right.
And we were talking about baby names, and one of them suggested Ronnie. And I said, Ronnie, he sounds like the village idiot that sits in the corner eating grass. And they pointed out that was her dad's name.
Wow.
So that went down well.
Yeah. Bondings.
So all my kids are called Ronnie now.
Okay, so enough of Hastings and Baldwin and
Wookie.
What's this battle about then?
So, speaking of the Battle of Hastings, we have a battle of two heavyweights. We have.
Excuse me.
If Scotty and Motty were to have a boxing match, who do you think would win?
Do you know what? I'm going to go, honestly. I think probably me. No, I think Scotty. See, Scotty, he's one of them. He's got little man syndrome, right? He has. Do you know what I mean? He's always had this little bit of a chip on his shoulder.
5'8" and got a little.
Do you know what I mean? He's always like, you know what? One of them ones. You know when you've got that mate who's always kicking off and you go out. It used to be a lad I know called Lee. He was quite small. He used to always start kicking off. And Scotty's like that. He's got that pent up aggression. He's quite angry. He's jealous of me and my success. So I think that would drive him to victory if me and him were to have a row. All that sort of pent-up disappointment with himself, and just the green-eyed monster would come out and it'd all spill over. And whereas I'd be like, because I'm quite happy with my lot in life, I probably wouldn't have that. So he'd win.
Well, we're going to find out in literally 2 minutes you carry with that fucking barrage of abuse. Jesus Christ, Jay.
Listen, after you on a live video on Stretford Paddock with over 2,000 people watching, insulting my son's footballing ability, you're lucky it's me who's not kicking off with you, sunshine.
I was more fearful of Varney sliding in my DMs.
Yes,
this morning,
you
to
lucky
be
shit. I
honest,
don't think she's
because
seen that.
If you said that about my son, I'd have chinned you live on YouTube. It just shows how pathetic a father and individual, a human being that you are. See, you won't even stand up for your son.
See what I mean?
when
See, it's that aggression.
It
It
is,
comes
yeah.
out.
There's no two ways about it. I'd lever him.
Yeah, see what I mean? I grew up in the nice leafy suburb of Partington as well.
Yeah.
Well, he was in the ghetto, so.
It makes for a better story. Like my rags to riches.
Yeah, we used to say that when we lived in Partington as well. We used to say, yeah, people say, where'd you live? We say, like, South Cheshire.
Yeah, yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
You live in South Cheshire? Whereabouts? Partington. What?
I used to say, where'd you live? No, Stockport. Whereabouts? Just off Stockport Road.
Yeah. just a few miles off it.
Yeah. I don't know, to be honest. I mean, we're not fighters anymore.
No. We
Back in the
never really had a fight, me and you.
No.
I've had a couple of fights with some of my friends over the years, like years ago. Have you ever had a fight with your mate?
Yeah.
Not like proper fight. We've had a couple like where one of us has thrown a dig at the other one or whatever.
There was
One of my
one
mates
friend-
strangled me once.
Yeah, there was one friend that I used to fight with quite a
Really?
lot when we were drunk. Yeah, because he was always I brought it on myself really, because you know there's always one of you who's always like the point of everyone taking the piss out of all night.
Yeah.
And I can be quite relentless, as you know, when I found like a scab to pick at. And he belted me in the face.
Yeah,
so
you
I
just snapped.
belted him back, and that used to happen on a regular basis.
Really?
And I'd still go back and take the piss next week, and then he'd still punch me, and then we'd have a fight.
I like that consistency.
Yeah, we don't
That's what I
talk
mean.
anymore.
I'll do that.
Not really. Not my fault.
Oh, I think it's probably for the best if you're beating each other up every other weekend.
I can't remember the last time I punched anyone though. Not really.
No, I seldom have fights, mate, to be honest with you. Do you know what I mean? Back in, do you know what I used to do back in the day? And this is so pathetic. More often than not, when I was out my head, I used to get myself in pickles, and sometimes even get done in, and it didn't seem to affect me in terms of maybe you need to stop mouthing off to people.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And maybe you need to stop ballooning when you've had a beer and a load of sniff, but I wouldn't. I'd carry on. Do you know what I mean?
And it was very rare that it was just a one-on-one fight anyway.
No.
When it was like once one person had thrown a punch,
Yeah.
everyone was involved.
I remember once I got in some lads' taxis. I got in their taxi, sorry, at this pub called Flixton Station, and they said it was their taxi, and I just got in it, and they were giving me a load of grief. And the taxi drove up. It was up a hill, and there was like 4 of them. And I stopped the taxi, got out, ran down the hill, and got my head kicked in.
You know.
It was so stupid
Yeah.
because I should have just stayed at the taxi and gone home. I don't know what I was thinking.
2 of the best punches that I've ever thrown in my life. One was in a nightclub in Fallowfield when it used to be like the student. Is it still a Studentville, Fallowfield?
I don't know.
Yeah.
Alexei's our connection to the
It's probably
student.
changed now because Manchester's a little bit more.
Is Fallowfield
Yeah.
still Studentsville?
It is. So I used to live in Fallowfield, well, kind of near Fallowfield, and a few of my friends live there now. It's still very studenty. It's almost like, the way I describe it, it's just students. Like you
Right.
go,
It
be
was
honest-
just banter.
That was always the case, but because we used to we'd go down there, cause, you know, it was very rarely to kick off unless we went down there. So we'd like, we were going to kick off for anybody else. We're in there one night, and they just have dancing away and all that. And this guy, whether it was intentionally or not, he just kept banging into me. I'm like, just stop it, mate. You've had a bit again. So I thought, right, what I'm going to do, I'm going to go tell the bouncers. I know, you know, snitches get stitches and all that, but I thought, I'm either going to punch him and it's going to kick off, or I'll tell the bouncers. And I went over and I said, if he does it again, you're going to have to take him out. It's going to end up in a fight. And the bouncer's going like that. Don't worry about it. I'll stand behind him. When he does it, you punch him, I'll catch him, you throw him out. So
Really?
yes, so he bumped into me. The bouncer's behind him like that. And I thought, right, fuck, I've got a free swing here.
Yeah.
Smashed him, great punch, and he's literally fell back into the bouncer's arms. The 2 of us have grabbed him by the legs and then took him out of the club. Night carries on. Half an hour later, him and his mates come back, put all the windows through.
Shut up, really?
Yeah.
Oh,
But you know when you actually like when you catch such a sweet punch, and so on, he went fucking flying. Love that.
Lovely stuff.
Don't condone violence anymore, though.
No, come on, it's not worth it.
I think the problem with the whole notion of a Scotty and Motty fight is that it would just feel to me a bit like, you know, the 2 best YouTubers scrapping would be bad for our channel in the sense, yes, we'd get numbers, we'd get views, you know, we could have a little press conference, you know, where you 2 go at each other.
He's already done that.
Have some a bit of bloody good-natured joshing, you know us.
No good nature in that. He was fucking going at it.
But fundamentally, this channel would have to become Scotty versus Motty.
do
Because
you
I feel like if you were scrapping,
Yeah.
we wouldn't be able to sit here and talk about Ten Hag and that, would we? Because
Do you know what it is as well, right? I hate all this YouTube fighting stuff. Like, I know obviously we're messing around, we'll do it, but you know, like this charity boxing match, let's get in the ring and all this faux rivalry and all that.
Yeah.
You know, you see it a lot. Me and Steen that were talking about the other week on, I think it might have been the Brew, because he's been offered a decent amount of money to fight like a City fan. You know, in a
Oh, so
boxing
nice.
match. Yeah. He's had like a promoter who's trying to get him into it, and he's like, because he's done a little bit of fighting, and Howson. I don't mean in the army. I mean like he did a cage fight and all that. But I think he's like, I'm not getting into all that nonsense because he's just, I find it a bit cringe personally.
Yeah, I do as well, and I think it makes it's ridiculing the sport. If you just look at all these sort of UFC fighters fighting like Tyson Fury the other day as well. Do you know who Jimmy Iovine is?
Oh yeah, of course, from the fighting ones.
Owner of the Interscope,
Class
music
that.
producer, brilliant film. But he said something in the news recently. He says that people aren't trying to make great things anymore, whether that's great art or great sport. It's all about the spectacle and trying to make money. Whereas that's what it's about. Like nobody's looking for the best pound for pound boxers. It's who's the most famous YouTubers. Or it's just.
Well, it's true, innit? Like Tommy Fury got far more money for fighting KSI than he got from working his way through the boxing ranks and fighting the British, the European, and even if he's that good, to fight and beat them and then get a world title shot.
Who's to blame there? Do you know what I mean? Like he's not gonna not do that.
No, I don't know.
You know,
like for him, it probably makes a lot of sense as well, because I think Tommy Fury, well, obviously he's been boxing for years and he's a boxer. I'm not saying he's not. I don't think he's like world class level. I don't think he's fighting like he's.
No, and having that realization would probably push you towards doing them.
You know, he can beat someone like a KSI or whoever, or Jake Paul. So it makes sense. It makes sense for him, and he's kind of in that world anyway with Molly May and the influencer sort of thing, and the going on Love Island. So for him, it makes sense. I think I say this about all these kind of things. I understand there's certain boxing purists and boxing fans who don't like that kind of thing, but I say about everything, and we have it with YouTube when we do fan channel stuff. It's like, oh, fan channel. If you don't like it, don't watch it.
But do you think for the longevity of the sport, do you think it's diluting the sport?
Not necessarily.
Do you not think boxing's gone down a bit since?
I think boxing was going down anyway. I think you got to look at all these.
The rise of UFC sort of
multiple belts, not just within the weights. You've always had that. You've always had WBC, WBO, WBA, IBF, IBO, WBF, and all the rest of it. But now you've got like the WBC silver champion, the WBC regular champion, the WBC diamond champion. You know, within that weight class,
they do that, though? You've
got 3 champions for that one belt, that one commission, and then you've got. So you can have at one weight, and I might be slightly inaccurate in how many I'm saying here, but you could literally have about 15 world champions. Where you think about it, back in the day when we were growing up, you'd have maybe 2 or 3, and they'd try and unify the division anyway.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So
because you're not really the world champion, are you? It's like having 15 different Champions League winners.
Yeah. No, I hear you, bro, but it's the way it's gone, innit? It's the way boxing's going. And
I wonder what if football's going to get involved in that, though. I know we have like Soccer Aid, but more if it wasn't for charity. So you could have like 11 famous people versus 11 famous people just for.
I think there might be something that football does further down the line where it becomes more and more like that. But I don't know. It's you just never know, do you, with sport and what's going to happen, because almost everything you think that'll never happen, whether it's with boxing, whether it's with golf, whether it's with football, whatever, sooner or later it does.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It's like the whole Super League thing. Super League, we got rid of that. It's not happening. It's not gone forever.
That'll come back.
It'll come back. It'll come back at a time when they're able to get it over the line and make it a reality.
Yeah. Well, have we got any problems tonight, Alexei?
Yeah.
No.
Well, this was a problem sent in. What would you do if you won £1 million?
We were talking about this lesser amount yesterday, weren't we?
Yeah.
A former us probably would have just phoned someone and got a load of stuff.
Just got a load of snizzle and just gone through it all.
Yeah. What, £1 million?
£1 million, weird £1 million, isn't it? Because it's not like, obviously £1 million are lots of money and you can buy lots of things, but I don't think you can go turbo nowadays on £1 million. Like, you're not buying a private jet and your own island and just flying around the world or whatever and doing madness every day. You've got enough money to live comfortably for the rest of your life, but within a certain amount of reason.
I heard a great one on this, because I've always said if I ever won any money in that sort, I'd try and help out the people around me, friends and family and stuff
The
like that.
bald people next to you.
Up until before this show, you would
Right,
definitely...
have I stacked it now?
Mate, with that million drops tomorrow, that lottery,
Right,
you
I
getting a
shouldn't have
phone
said
call
what I
again.
said. Yeah,
I've
I've cost
been
myself a load of money there.
You have. But so if I said I'd help all them people out, and I seen this clip, and it was a guy who'd won the lottery, and he hadn't told anyone, none of his friends, none of his family, and he went round them all, and he phoned them and said, "Listen, I need to borrow $2,000, and I'll give you it back next week." And he went round and seen how many people would give him $2,000, and like the people who said no, or said no without any sort of reasoning behind it, they definitely had the money. It's like they were gutted and weren't giving any money when he got the millions.
Really?
Yeah.
I'm all about that. I'm
that.
all about some level of shithousery. Yeah, definitely.
Because the thing is, how can they come back?
Yeah, because it's like,
Well, you were going to give me back, yeah.
I want to give it, but like, fair enough if you hadn't got it. If one of my mates, if you came to me and said, "Jake, you lend me $2,000," obviously I'd give it if I had it, but I ain't got it.
That's different. Isn't
Yeah,
it?
it's like I'm not, in a position to find $2,000. But if I had it, or if you said, "Can you lend me £100 or whatever," something that I could probably scrape together, and I went, "Nah, I'm not doing that." It's different, isn't it? So, yeah, I like that. What about you, Alexei? What would you do if you had £1 million other than torture your friends?
I would spend it all on... Do you know what? Recently, I've been really getting into my decaf teas. Because I can't really drink caffeine because I like a bit of a dodgy stomach and that. So I'll probably just buy like an absolute shitload of decaf tea so I wouldn't run out.
Right, okay.
That would probably cover about £100 of it.
Yeah.
And then the rest of it, I'd buy Stretford Paddock.
No, you fucking wouldn't.
I'd buy Scott.
Let me tell you something now, Sunshine. Yeah. If you think you're buying Stretford Paddock for £1 million, then there's a small possibility that won't happen.
Do you know what I would do, Jay? I'd come in on the first day and I'd be like, "Hello, everyone. I'm like the new owner and that." You'd be going, "Oh, what's going on here? Like, what's going to happen here?" And I just turn the channel into just like, I don't know, like I just make it so every Wednesday at 2:00, you and Steve have to do a sewing competition.
Right.
And you have to sit there and do a sew off. And
right.
no one would like it.
Yeah.
No one would care about it.
Yeah.
I wouldn't care about it.
Yeah.
But I just do it because I can.
Right.
And if you went, "Oh, no," I'd go, "Well, I don't know what you're saying no to here." Even stuff like...
So your plan is to buy the channel off me and Steve and then force me and Steve to do things we don't want to do?
Well, thing is...
that you've just give them money
and not after giving us the money so we don't have to work anymore.
No, but
there's a slight flaw in your plan. Yeah, because once you bought the channel off me and Steve and Joe and Macca as well, like, we'll have the money so we don't have to work anymore. So we're not going to do sewing competitions on YouTube.
No, but it'll be in the contract of the sale that you have to do the sewing competitions.
Right.
And also, I think because you can... I've seen you present so many videos and you're always very enthusiastic. I think you could get into the sewing thing. Whereas Steve, oh my God, he would absolutely hate it.
You're forgetting the meme of Steve. I sewed the badges on myself. How have you forgotten that?
Oh, yeah.
How have you forgotten
Oh,
that?
my God.
If anyone is going to do sewing,
God.
it's Steve. And if it's a competition between me and him, he's going to win.
Do you know what? I feel like a fraud for not remembering that because that would have made this...
that was going around my group chats before me and Steve were mates.
Got a top man badge.
Listen, I love Steve Nelson, he's my boy, but he had a bit of a funny one where he had a coat with a United badge on. It was like a certain coat with a United badge on, and someone said to him, "Well, where have you got that coat from?" And he said, he replied on Twitter, I think it was, I bought the coat and I sewed the badges on myself, which is fine. But then he posted a picture of himself sewing the badges on, which became a bit of a meme back in the day. This is like 2014 or something. So it became a running joke between some of us, like.
Did he really sew him on himself, or was he just taking the piss?
Nah, I love to say he was taking the piss because, like I say, he's my boy, but I don't think he was. He has his little ways, doesn't he?
You ever tried
part
to
of
sew
his
him?
charm. I have sewed.
I hate that bit. Just getting I get frustrated just trying to get the fucking thing.
So you fall at the first
hurdle.
hurdle.
I'm like,
fuck this.
Fuck this.
Do you know what? I don't mind sewing. Like, if you've got to do like a button's falling off, I'll do that. But Other than that, I'm not big into me sewing.
No.
So if Alexis Sanchez thinks I'm doing a sewing channel for him, he can think again.
Yeah. Sewing Paddock it'll be.
Sewing Paddock.
And
I don't know if that works.
And so we have another problem.
Nice, that's better.
So, dear Agony Uncles, Over recent years, I've had a variety of health issues, just stacking, personal issues sidetracked me to the point I never had time to visit a doctor. So I went to the doctors, in fact 2 doctors, and as I explained my issues and pain, both stated I'm either a hypochondriac and the other stated it's all in my head. What action would you take towards these 2 doctors? In fact, the level of neglect. And that's from the Mancalorian who commented that on one of our YouTube videos.
Yeah, he always gets in touch. Well, isn't a hypochondriac and all in my head, they're not an either or, it's the same thing really, isn't it?
Yeah, a hypochondriac is someone who thinks they've got
something,
an illness or something wrong with them and they haven't. I mean, if you're convinced that you've got symptoms or something wrong with you, you can always get a second opinion. I would try and move forward rather than backwards.
Well, he said there he's gone to 2 doctors.
I know, but I mean, like, I wouldn't be looking backwards towards the doctors I've been to and what actions I can take against them. Forget them. Drop them out of your life. And if you still feel like there's something not right, go and speak to someone else. Go and get a 3rd or 4th opinion even. Because you know if you're not right, something's going on.
I always think as well on that, you go into, don't call it ER, did they what they call it in England? What's it, the emergency room? Is that what they call it?
A&E?
A&E, why got ER?
Why ER? I know me and you say ER all the time, but why did you go all American then? How many times have you been to America?
A lot.
How many months of your life have you spent in America?
Months.
Yeah.
Too many.
Great answer, son.
Yeah, I went all George Clooney.
He's got all American, like, down when I go to ER, after I've got off the freeway. Like, what?
Well, if you go to A&E,
really where you go.
And then they can look at you then, and it's not your doctor or anything like that. Maybe
you can do that, man. Like I say, if you, the one thing I advise, be careful on the internet. If you go on the internet, if you've got ailments, you're on the internet.
God, yeah.
It's the doctors don't like you doing that, and there's a good reason because you think the worst, because you'll find out the worst, and you'll think you're suffering from some sort of mad disease or whatever. Go to a doctor, man. That's my only advice.
Yeah, and perseverance as well, man, and just trying to get an answer from somebody else. And hope you get better soon as well, whatever the problems are.
Yeah, I mean, I'll say with this as well, I've had a lot of personal experience from this, so I can kind of relate to this, because I've had problems like that where, like, I had a period for about 6 months where I was just throwing up every day, and I went to the doctors about it, and they were like, "Oh, you're just stressed or anxious," and I was like, "I'm throwing up every day, like every time I eat. That's not normal."
Yeah.
And because it was around COVID, it was like 7 weeks every time you got a doctor's appointment. And it was a phone
that's
call.
horrible.
So they kind of fob you off and say, "Oh, you're just anxious or you're stressed." And then you'd have another 7 weeks of throwing up. And I got to the point where I was like, no, like, you're not meant to throw up every day. So I spoke to them. I said, "Come on, let's sort this." And they went, "Oh, okay, we'll get you in." As soon as they got me in, they were like, "Oh yeah, you're allergic to dairy. That's why you're throwing up all the time. We should have spotted this a few years ago." And I was like, "So I've just been throwing up constantly. Like, life was hard, like throwing up every day for all that time." And they could have stopped it, and they just didn't. And that's obviously why I ended up going vegan and that. But yeah, so I fully empathised with this question. And I'd say my advice is just be as abrasive and full on about it as possible with them, because they just fob you off otherwise, and just really like get into them that your quality of life's affected and you really need to see someone, because they do fob you off, and it can be really hard for your life if you've got horrible symptoms and you feel ill, because if you feel ill, it makes everything so much harder. But yeah, my advice, ring them up and just honestly just really go in on them, because yeah, from experience, it's horrible. And if I hadn't persisted, I might still be throwing up every day today. So yeah, persist with them.
I went into hospital last March, and I was supposed to have an operation within 6 to 8 weeks after going in. And then they said, "Right, well, we'll get back in touch with you with your surgery date." 8 weeks came and went, nothing. Then I got a letter saying, like, "You need to phone up and make your surgery." I said, "Okay," it's phoned up. You probably got to wait like 36 weeks.
36 weeks?
For surgery, right? So
you can have a baby in that time.
Right, so I finally got a date through, and it was going to be the beginning of October. Got a phone call on the beginning of October. Said, "Oh no, due to," I think it was an industrial strike action. He said that we can't do it today. So okay, and then it was supposed to be last Friday, and I got a phone call in the morning saying it's still. So it's nearly a year, and then the only painkillers they give me have a similar sort of effects to what producer Alexei. So I can't take the painkillers at all, because it just makes me want to fucking throw up all the time. So I just got to literally just...
It does feel like we're edging people towards private
You
healthcare.
feel that's the motive, isn't it?
Yeah,
Really? Just
making the NHS untenable. Because I feel sorry for the people that work in NHS. It's not their fault.
That's what I said when the woman phoned me. Like the woman phoned me up to cancel it. And I said, "This is like the third time and I've been trying to like get this done. I mean, I absolute agony." And she goes, "I'm sorry." And so I said, "I know." I said, "I apologise that you're having to take my frustration, but I've got nowhere else to to vocalise it to."
It's not great, is it?
Not at all. Anyway, next.
What's next?
So the final problem for today, I'm currently in a decent job, but I hate my boss and want to take his job. Do I stay in my job but be as obstructive as possible and spread hatred, or leave and openly start a coup to oust him? And that is from S. Braverman.
Oh, that's an interesting one, that, isn't it? I'm currently in a decent job, but I hate my boss. I don't want to take his job. Yeah. The big question is, are you cut out to do his job? Can you do his job? Or are you, even though your boss is a complete buffoon, inept, and should never have been given his position, are you actually that vile, thick, and useless that you make him look completely competent? And actually, it's a miracle you've got any job at all, let alone your boss's job. So might be best served looking in the mirror and just thanking your lucky stars you're not on the dole queue in the first place. I don't know, what do you reckon?
No, I agree with all the sentiments there. And you need to be clever as well about what you do, because if you try and oust your boss, it could result with you being out of a job. And then when you're out of a job, you might not be able to pay your mortgage or your bills. And you might find yourself living on the streets and destitute.
Well, that's
but homelessness is a lifestyle choice.
Your fault, isn't it?
Is,
You've chosen that. Choose
and take drugs to stay warm at night.
Do you know where you could go, though?
Where?
You could move to Rwanda. I've heard of doing flights to Rwanda, and it looks absolutely palatial over there.
Well, at least hot and homeless. Yeah. You know?
So maybe
that's the tourist board,
isn't it? Maybe go live in a tent or live in Rwanda.
Yeah.
Those are the options that have been,
or
suggested.
An infested barge.
Or even better, live by the sea or by the canal in a barge that's
romantic,
overcrowded and full of diseases. Yeah, I think that's you've got options. The world's your oyster. S. Braverman, whoever you are.
Yeah, I mean, she is just shit, isn't she? I mean, just a
She's
really
ass shit.
Just such a horrible person. Because like sometimes, like everyone has different political views, and we're all from. I'm sure people in comments will have different viewpoints, but then people come along sometimes that are just so awful that you surely everybody must just think that she is just awful and all this weirdness. And the thing is, she wouldn't even get elected anyway, because even if she did resign, they're not going to do no confidence in him. And if she did become Prime Minister, I mean, I think Labour would probably get almost every seat. Keir Starmer would. Keir Starmer, by the way, is like the luckiest kind of politician ever, because he's not, the best politician, but he's had like the SNP collapse and the Tories collapse, and he's just kind of there. It's like the most ridiculous luck I've seen ever, like out of anyone. It's just, he's just kind of there because obviously everyone else has just kind of crumbled around him.
Yeah, it's like when Frank Bruno got heavyweight champion. He had no competition really around, did he? So he's like pretty much got there.
Yeah, I get what you mean.
Was that a reach?
No, he kind of. Listen, Oliver McCall was a decent fighter. He beat for the title.
He was a crier, wasn't he?
That was when he beat. That's when he lost to Lennox Lewis.
Oliver McCall did.
Yeah.
I thought he was crying when he came into the ring.
No, Oliver McCall beat Lennox Lewis, but when he lost to Lennox Lewis, he had a breakdown in the fight.
Wasn't he a boxer who used to cry before they used to come in the ring all the time?
No, well, Oliver McCall cried during the fight because he had a breakdown against Lennox Lewis. But Frank Bruno beat him at Wembley, I think it was, to win the title. And then in his first defence, fought Mike Tyson.
Yeah, well, there you go. And Keir Starmer.
And have you ever seen that Bruno Tyson documentary?
No.
It's mad, right? Because Frank Bruno fought Mike Tyson twice and lost both times. But they make it out like that was the only thing that stopped him becoming like a dominant force in heavyweight boxing, was the fact that he was around the same time as Mike Tyson.
Yeah.
You don't mention the fact that like Tim Witherspoon beat him, Bone Crusher Smith beat him, Lennox Lewis beat him. I think they mentioned the Lennox Lewis one. Like, there was never any danger. If you took Mike Tyson out of the equation, Frank Bruno still isn't dominating heavyweight division.
Them two were in the Real Madrid and Barcelona.
No, it's not. That's what they make it out like it's Ali and Frazier. And it's
Bruno
like,
was so unlucky that there was Tyson around.
I like Fran Bruno. He's a nice guy, and his tweets are elite.
Best.
But it's like, what are you on about? You're trying to make it out like if it wasn't for Mike Tyson, I'd have dominated the heavyweight division for the 80s. And it's like, well, no, you wouldn't, because there was another 6 heavyweights in front of you that were better than you. So yeah, it's just a bit bizarre the way they do it. It really is mad.
Yeah, have you ever heard my Keir Starmer impression?
This might be a note to leave.
Give me a little rating out of 10. Should I go? Mr. Speaker, the Prime Minister has dragged the country through the gutter with his lies and deception and deceit. Mr. Speaker, the other day I spoke to Scotty. Scotty has a podcast with his friend Motty, and they've said recently that they've struggled to make podcasts. This is due to the Tory cuts on this country. Mr. Speaker, when will he do the honourable thing? And Mr. Speaker, when will he resign?
Don't forget to hit like, share and subscribe. This has been the Battle of Scotty and Motty. That's been Motty. No, that's been Scotty. I've been Motty. That's been producer Alexei. And the less said about that, the better. Thanks for watching. No, I'm joking. Alexei, that wasn't as bad as I expected.
Yeah.
It was all right. Yeah? I'm going to give it a solid 7.
Oh, thank you.
It got worse. You should have just...
It started off all right. I think you had that initial surprise of how good it was, or how not bad it was.
Yeah.
But then as it went on a bit, it sort of drifted towards Deirdre Barlow.
Yeah, it's very confusing.
Yeah. It was like, it was okay.
It wasn't the worst. But you're watching, why don't you, we'll start this as a thing, put a celebrity down, and then every week on Agony Uncles, we can get producer Alexei to try to do an impression of it.
Do you do any others?
I've got Harry Redknapp.
Go on.
Well, he's fantastic, Benjani. I said to Nico Crenshaw, I said, he's got to go to Man City. And, Benjani, he said, you got to go, Harry, you got to go, and Cratchy.
That's more Frank Spencer.
Yeah. That sounds like your Keir Starmer with a cold.
Yeah.
Right, anyway,
Which would you say is worse?
Shut up now.
Wow, you've broken him. Do you do any impressions?
Yeah, but we'll have to tune in next week for that.
Okay.